All right. Hey guys, Greg Pruitt here, president of the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. And I am live from the Capitol up here in Boise. Glad to be with you guys. Glad to be here fighting for gun rights. That's what we do. That's what we've done for the last 10 years. And that's what we are doing this legislative session is fighting to protect the Second Amendment, to protect those who are, in particular, those who are forced to defend themselves. And so most of you may know, or some of you may not know, that a few years ago there was an effort to expand Stand Your Ground. We ended up with basically a codification bill, not what we wanted. What we've been fighting for the last few years is getting criminal immunity here in the state of Idaho, so that what happened to the McCloskeys, what happened to Kyle Rittenhouse doesn't happen here in the state of Idaho. And that's what we're hoping to do. And so State Senator Scott Herndon introduced the bill this morning. You remember we used to work with State Senator Christy Zille. She's now on the outside working with us. And so State Senator Scott Herndon, he is our bill sponsor over in the Senate side. And we had the hearing this morning, a print hearing. So it's not a public hearing, so you guys wouldn't have been able to come and testify, anything like that. I couldn't testify. It's just an introduction of the bill. And the goal is to obviously get this thing moving as quickly as possible. Session is short, and so we don't have a lot of time to waste. Now, what does the bill do? So first of all, we don't have a bill number yet. That's what the print hearing does. We had a print hearing, and now that the print hearing is over, we will have a bill number sometime, maybe later today, most likely tomorrow. We'll get a bill number. Once we get that bill number, that's when we need you guys to start emailing and calling your legislators in the Senate, especially, to co-sponsor the Stand Your Ground expansion bill. So what does it do? The nuts and bolts is this is adding criminal immunity to the Stand Your Ground bill. And so, for instance, if you have to use your firearm in self-defense, and the way that our law is currently set up is you could actually sit in jail for a really long time waiting for a trial, waiting for the prosecution to actually bring something forward to really show that you're guilty in some fashion. And what we're going to do is flip this on its head and say, well, wait a minute here. It's not right. If somebody's defended themselves, you can't just you get one of these George Soros-backed prosecutors who just decides, you know what, I'm going to throw this guy in jail, and we're just going to go ahead and do that. And so what this will do is say that within 14 days, once you're incarcerated, within 14 days, you can actually go and invoke Stand Your Ground at a pretrial motion. And at that pretrial motion, then the prosecution then has to bring enough evidence in that that there's some sort of evidence that you acted in a manner that wasn't appropriate. And so I'm gonna head out here because there's a bunch of Boy Scouts that showed up and doing a tour. So in that pretrial motion, then you can file that within 14 days and say, I'm invoking Stand Your Ground. Like I didn't do anything wrong. I defended myself. Where's any evidence, right? The prosecution now has to bring that evidence to the judge and say, look, we have sufficient evidence to show that this individual did not act appropriately. Okay, well, let's say you still go to trial and you're found not guilty. The judge can then poll the jury and say, why did you find him not guilty? And if they find you not guilty because of reasons of self-defense, the judge then has the ability to tell the county, you're going to cover his or her legal expenses, okay? And so that's one of the big benefits. The two big benefits that we're going for. You can invoke Stand Your Ground now through that pretrial motion, and then the other thing you can do is that the judge has the ability to award legal fees, to cover some of your legal fees when, look, I don't know very many people that want to hurt or kill someone else, right? I think most of us would do it, obviously, to defend ourselves, to defend our families or other innocent victims. The bottom line is I don't want to kill anybody. I have no desire to kill another person, okay? And so mentally, we know that somebody who's had to defend themselves, that can take a really big toll on somebody mentally. Even if they're right, even if the person they killed is a complete scumbag. It's hard. You've taken another human life. And so we don't need some George Soros backed prosecutor to then go and take you through the reamer of a trial when there's no evidence that ever occurred. And so this bill that we're doing, that State Senator Scott Herndon is helping us with, is designed to prevent those types of situations from occurring. So that's what the bill is about. We've got a link in the description there to get this bill, to get a petition to support it. So sign that. Once we have the bill number, like I said, in another day or so, we will then ask you guys to start pushing legislators to co-sponsor. Okay, we need these guys. These guys all went on the campaign trail, right? For the last freaking 2 years, basically. They're basically always campaigning, right? Telling you how pro Second Amendment they are. Well, now's their chance to prove that, and that's what we were hoping to do, is get them on a co-sponsor list where we can hopefully get a really large chunk of the Senate, and then maybe a large chunk of the House, right? Every single one of them, especially the R's, went out on the campaign trail and said, we support the 2A, we support the 2A, we support our There is literally no downside to a Republican signing on to a stand your ground bill. Zero, none, absolutely none whatsoever. And so we had the print hearing this morning. There was four Republicans in attendance, 2 Democrats in attendance, and actually all 6 of them voted to at least move the bill towards being printed. So that was kind of a surprise. Senator Wintrow, the Democrat, she's been our longtime nemesis, so to speak, on the gun issues. And she even voted to at least move it for a print hearing, a full hearing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, we've seen this cat and mouse game time and time again, where we get a bill printed and then they just decide to sit on it. And that's what we're hoping to prevent with you guys. Ultimately, it's up to you guys. If the gun owners don't push this bill once it's time for us to push hard, then they won't listen. They won't care. I promise you. They don't want, most of them don't want any part of this stand your ground expansion. They just assume not rock the boat. They just assume keep things the way they are always. And we're like, no, this is not that time. So this is the time. If this was a blue state, I can assure you the Democrats would be shredding the Second Amendment like they're doing in Washington, like they're doing in California and Oregon. And so now we have the chance to finally do it the other way, right? Hey, this is a red state with a supermajority in both chambers. Zero reason this bill should have any issues. But after 10 years, I know better. You guys know better. It's always a fight here. It's always a fight. So anyway, I'm going to be down here a lot. Senator Christy Zito, Christy Zito will be down here a lot, fighting for you guys too. And then we need you guys to fight once it's time to push hard, which is going to be here in the next couple days. So stay tuned, get the petition signed, spread this video, share it with everybody that you can, every gun owner that you possibly can, tag them, email the video out, whatever you got to do so that everybody can stay informed. It's go time. We have a couple months to try and get all this stuff done. So thank you guys. Take care. God bless.